Hey, I am here with Rob and Rashawn Lee, who are a couple who helps other couples get out of debt, invest, do entrepreneurship, and basically leave a legacy to the next generation. Did I miss anything? Is that right?
I think you got it.
Yep. Thanks for having
Perfect.
us.
So you know I'm a relationship guy. That's what I love. So I want to get to what you do, but first I want to know how you met. What did that look like?
There we go.
I'm gonna say it. Basically, I married my stalker.
Hey.
Stalker. Okay. That's a tough intro, Rob. You should have went first.
Right. I should have. Yeah.
Rob and I met in the workplace.
Yes.
I was a broker actually for an online brokerage firm. I was a fixed income broker, and Rob was in IT.
Yeah.
And one day my computer went down and he came over to fix it.
Yep.
I had seen him around the facility several times, but it's a very male dominated environment in personal finance. And so I tended to kind of stick to spending time with my female colleagues and limiting my interaction with guys because there was lots of heavy flirtation in the environment and you just really couldn't take anybody seriously.
Like nice clean cut, lady. Nice clean cut.
Yeah. So you're keeping guys at a standstill.
Mm-hmm.
But then this IT guy with some game and a smile rolled in. Was that what happened?
Yeah. So what happened was me and the guys, we were talking in the back and we were just always talking about just guy stuff, right? It was 4 IT guys, and you know it was a large facility with a huge different call centers and whatever, right? In one big building on one floor. And then he said to me one day, "Man, the way you talk, and I was always talking about my future and what I was going to do, and I just need to find the right girl." And he says, "I think I know the girl," and I was like, "What?" And then he's a young guy, right? I just kind of blew him off. He's like, "I want to show you." So he kind of brought me out and pointed. There she is in the yellow over there, right? She's on the phone or whatever, and that's how, and I was like, wow, I've never even seen her before. And I was like, man. So then I just investigated for a little while, and eventually that's how we met. She said her computer went down. Now that I'm out of there, I can tell everybody. I broke that computer on purpose. I remotely, broke the computer. So
put a little virus in there. So
yeah. All I did was I just deleted her office suite, so she needed it to be repaired. And then that way I had an excuse to go over there. But it took a while to do that. I was kind of watching, checking out who she was, seeing if she was single, make sure she wasn't married, and trying to figure out how many kids she had, all these things, right? And then eventually, once I got all that information from some of the fellows that worked in her department, and I was like, oh, okay, it's go time. It was like 3 months later, and then that's how I met her. So
I never believed that 3 months part because he is not a patient man.
Yeah, it was 3 months. It was 3 months later.
Well, either way, I'm leaning towards the stalker moniker. I mean, you're like, I was doing background, I was trying to find out, I was checking. So
listen, I had to make sure she had clearance, man. I had to make sure.
Yeah, we'll call it due diligence. Sounds
yes, sir. I had to make sure she had no husband, man.
Yeah. He came over and interviewed me during that time while he's supposed to be fixing my PC as well. Asking lots of questions, and I was trying to be polite.
Yeah, she tried to escape. She's trying. She was polite, I promise. So yeah, she was like, well, I'm gonna go over here and talk to my friends. And I was like, whoa. I need you to help me out with the login credentials and stuff, just in case, you got to stay here. So that's how I got her to stay, and then had a little conversation. It was good.
So you met at work after stalking her, then somebody finally asked somebody out, right?
Yeah. So he did ask me. So did we go to the Christmas party first? We had an office Christmas party
every year. Yeah.
Again, I went with my female colleagues. There were 3 of us. We kind of were like the Supremes.
Oh God. Look, they came because we mentioned the party. We were like, hey, you guys gonna go to the party? And they were like, oh, we don't really know, whatever. And I said, hey, we're going to be there. So, hey, you guys should come. We should,
That's what he thinks.
Anyway, that's exactly what happened.
We went as 3 ladies, and he came with his friend. And at the party, he struck up a conversation. And somehow we ended up even taking a picture together. The first picture we ever took together was at that Christmas party. We were not dating.
I had my arm around her.
Right, you can't tell by the picture.
Exactly.
It looks like we were dating.
So all this she's telling you, she was like, just put that arm around.
He struck up a conversation and just asked me, hey, why are you single? And he said, you must be crazy.
It didn't calculate.
Fair enough.
Successful. She's beautiful. She had everything going for her in my eyes, right? And then I was like, wait, what's going on here? I didn't get it. So.
My
Crazy or
response to-
selective, yeah.
Right,
one of the
my,
two.
correct. My response to "you must be crazy" was, "I might be," and he thought that was funny. So we kind of wrapped the evening not really talking about dating anymore, but he made his intentions clear, at least that he was interested.
Yeah.
When we returned to the office after the party, he did come to me at the office and asked if I could speak for a moment. He pulled me to the side and asked me to go out. I said, I didn't think it would be a good idea to date somebody from the office because, you know, it would definitely impact my standing in the workplace. But I told him I didn't have any problem with us becoming friends. And for a few weeks, we just had breakfast and lunch at work. My laptop broke down at some point. I gave it to him and asked him to fix it for me. So he said, oh, well, I'm going to need your phone number for that. So then we began to talk on the phone and everything. So things gradually progressed over time.
She's using me for my skills.
Yeah, that's good. So over time, you finally gave in and moved from friends to dating.
Yeah. After he came to visit me at church.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was a requirement.
Yeah, one day she randomly, like I was saying, hey, when are we gonna see each other outside of this place? So we've seen each other for a week for breakfast and lunch and stuff. And then she was like, well, she's like, I don't know. And then
I said, what are you doing this
and then
weekend?
she came back to me later and was like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I was like, oh, no, absolutely nothing. What's going on, right? I said, hey, I'm coming to you, or I mean, you know, hey, what's up? And then she said, what are you doing Sunday? And I said, Sunday, hey, I'm wide open Sunday. What's up? She said, Sunday morning. I said, okay, yeah, whenever. She says, okay, well, meet me at this address. I said,
no, I didn't. I said,
what
church.
I said, what address is that? She said, this is my church.
I specifically said, why don't you join us for church? Because we were on the phone, so I wouldn't have said, hit me at this address.
That's not how I remember, but okay.
Of course. Now, you married Eric. You know the stories aren't always the exact.
No, they never add up. Everyone, we have selective memory, so yeah. So you went to church, and the rest is.
He lured me to church. Yeah.
He went to church,
Oh,
and I had asked him if he was a regular church goer. He said he hadn't been in a few years.
Yes.
What he meant was 15.
Hey, give or take. I mean, come on, yeah.
Give or take 5, 15, whatever.
Decade here, there, whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, he came to church, but when he left, I could tell that he wasn't, exactly so moved by the spirit that he was ready to join.
Well, what did she expect? Right. Yeah. So she didn't like that. Yeah.
No, I just asked him. I said, so what do you think about going to church? He's like, maybe it's something I'll consider later. And then I told him, I said, okay, that's fair enough. Well, I think that we should just continue to be friends. And he said, why? Because I won't go to church. I said, well, look at it this way. Would you consider dating a woman who didn't work out just on the off chance that one day she might start working out? Because he was really into the gym, still a regular gym goer today. When I put it to him in those terms, he said no. And I said, well, your gym is my church. I said, as a single mom of, a young male, I can't really justify how it is that I require him to go to church, but I'm in a relationship with someone who does not go.
She said.
Yeah.
Good. I was gonna say to your working out question, I'd be like, well, what's the family genetics? Show me what your mom looks like. Some people can get away with not doing it.
Right. That's a good response.
No, I like it though. So you basically said here is one of my core values.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in running down a relationship route with somebody who, is not interested in sharing in that core value. So I think that's good. That's good. All right, let's fast forward because I know you want to talk about what you do and how you help couples money wise. So what is, just give me your overview money story. So how did you go from two people who obviously you met in corporate America, you work in regular jobs, you're no longer doing that. How did you go from, you got married, and then how did you go from there to what you're doing now?
So I'll give the net version of our backgrounds. So Rob and I actually grew up in very similar environments. We have very similar backgrounds. We were both born to teenage single mothers. We were, both spent some time in the projects. So grew up poor. And people say how poor, free lunch poor, public housing, assisted,
Lock of cheese.
Section 8 poor, right? You got the free cheese. We both joined the military after high school in order to finance our long-term goals, right? And just figure out who we wanted to become in general. We both are first generation college graduates. And so before we got married, we both acquired student loans, credit card debt, and children.
Yes.
I came with one and he came with one. So we are a blended family.
Yep.
And that kind of is the background on our debt before we got together. And before we got married, we went to premarital counseling.
Yes.
Because we both like the idea of being prepared. And even before we went to premarital counseling, we found an online questionnaire that basically prepared us for premarital counseling, right? 10 different topics that we need to discuss with a variety of questions to address. And we thought, okay, we're going to be ready for this. Talked about the roles in relationships. And of course, when we got to finance, it was a sticky subject because Rob was definitely a spender and kind of on the, plan of you're going to always have debt. That's just the way life is. And by this point, I no longer had any credit card debt or student loans. I think I had maybe a few months left on my car note and I had a mortgage. I was already in my first house.
Yeah, and I was still working on my student loans. I had a couple credit cards. I was kind of making up for all the things I had never had.
Sure.
So that's why I was spending so much. I remember I was the kid that, man, just, I don't know, everybody had these shoes and this and that. That's rough for a kid. You don't really realize it, but everybody had these specific type of British Knights or whatever they called them back in the day.
British Knights, you went way back.
I'm old, man.
With your
So,
Z Cavaricci pants. And,
That's right.
Yeah, and the thing is, I didn't have that stuff, right? And the thing is, everybody had it except me, my brother, and my sister. And we were all living the same place, so we didn't understand like how do we live all in the same terrible place, and then these kids are always dressed really nice or whatever. So then they made us feel bad, which is a terrible thing because kids are just cruel, right? And so I was just trying to make up for all that, and I was spending. I was when I met her. So
and I could totally understand.
All the Jordans, all the leather jackets.
I asked my mom for some designer clothes, and she was like, "Get a job." And then when I got a job, she's like, "You need to help out around here."
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, so those designer brands never came. And I would say that my aha moment when it came to finances was I became a single mom. I actually was pregnant with my son, my senior year of college. So I walked across the stage 7 months. And so immediately I'd been interviewing for jobs up until graduation, hoping to get something before I started the show, but that didn't work out. My stomach became bigger, my nose became bigger, my lips became bigger, my face became everything.
Okay.
So eventually they just stopped interviewing me. They didn't even send me a rejection letter.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. And so what would you say was your aha moment, babe, when you realized, this whole money thing wasn't working?
I don't know, dealing with you. No. So actually, before I met her, I was in the process of, I had a bunch of charge-offs. I mean, I didn't know you could get in that kind of debt at such a young age. And what happened was I had about, I don't know, I'm going to say about 20 accounts, and I had about 12 of them paid off on the charge-off status. I was going through especially when I was like, oh my God, I'm getting serious. I'm starting to meet a girl. And I kind of saw she carried herself a certain way and everything. And I was really hustling. And I was already kind of doing it before I met her. But then I kind of really, she was like, and she spoke differently about money and about, hey, I don't have this, I don't have that. And I was like, oh man, this is going to look bad. I felt like in order for me to get someone like her, I probably need to be kind of going in that direction, right?
Sure.
And I need to be cleaning my mess up because, I mean, how you look saying, hey, I want abs, or I want this, I want that, and then you got none of that, right? I hear a lot of that these days, these youngsters, right?
If you've given out abs and stuff, I'll take some.
I'm saying, I mean, if you can't ask for abs, if you got no abs, though, right? So
yeah, that's his gym money comparison.
Yeah.
So when I graduated from college, I got a job by the time I started interviewing. By the time my son was 6 weeks, and went to work, and creditors were calling me from everywhere. And Discover Card was the worst. And I learned that I could send a letter requesting a cease and desist for phone calls. So that's a tip for those who don't know it. If you are getting calls from creditors, you can send them a letter and ask them to communicate with you in writing only. So the call stopped. And then eventually I knew that I just had to get on top of it and start to pay these people. So when Rob and I got together, I was nervous about the idea. We actually checked credit scores before we got married. And I was just nervous about the idea that his spending would end up, rolling into our lives and taking over.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had this convoluted plan of percentages.
Yeah.
This is how we were going to manage our money.
Yeah.
Not
Like everybody, yeah.
necessarily together, but
You
would
pay this, I pay that.
Yes.
Got the electric bill, got the cable.
And then
I'm sure you heard this before.
And then we just keep the rest of our money, whatever's left.
Right.
Which would have been in no way fair, because at the time I was a professional salesperson, making significant money in commissions.
I thought I was doing okay until I met her making in sales. I was like, wait, wow.
So were you doing this setup when you got married, or you were talking about this prior to marriage?
We talked about it prior to marriage, and so I thought we had it established.
Yes.
So we go off, we got married in Riviera Maya. We have a destination wedding. We get back and there's some trouble with the house, things that need to get fixed, etc. And so right away, we have some things that we have to spend on. We did make sure that our wedding was paid for when we left Mexico. We did not have any wedding debt. But we get home and we go to church together. This is the first time we're going now as a married couple. And the service was about two shall become one. Right. This is the first time we went as a married couple.
Oh, okay,
so he had started going to church
I've been going to
regularly before we got married, since that was a requirement for us to date.
Yeah.
But we go to church and, two shall become one. And he's a baby Christian. I'm like, how much does he really get? Does he really understand? Oh, he understood all right. We got home and he was like, I think that two shall become one message applies to us. I said, what do you mean? He said, I think we might not be managing our finances right. I think that maybe we should, focus on blending our money.
Yep.
And I
You're
thought,
like, that's easy for you to say over there.
Right.
Vendor. Yeah, I bet.
Right. So for everybody who's watching or listening, it didn't start out with, we're on the same page.
She had no evidence of, besides the past evidence. I hadn't showed anything that I was blowing money while we were together or anything like that. She was just nervous. I get it.
Basically, he's like, past performance is no indication.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that.
Right. Yeah. Which is what I always tell people is not true. Yeah.
So I was nervous, but he was pretty firm on how he felt about it. So I just asked him if he would give me some time to pray on it.
Yeah.
And God answered just like he always does. I went to work and like that same week. So I don't even know why it came up, but my manager at the time started talking about Dave Ramsey and the total money makeover.
Yes.
And he had gone to law school and put an extensive amount of money into student loan debt, and had started the Dave Ramsey total money makeover in order to pay this off. We call it the beans and rice diet. Sounded interesting to me. I was excited to go home and tell Rob about it and said, hey, I think that we could do this. If we could get on the same page, we would be able to join our finances. Are you open to learning something new?
And I said, yeah. So she got these Dave Ramsey CDs. I was driving a long distance because, we both were at that time because we worked all the way in Keller and lived here in Carrollton, right? So on my 45-minute drive, I was listening to Dave Ramsey. And it's like a 3 CD set or whatever. And it was amazing. He made me feel so stupid, right? And he constantly says the word stupid while he's talking about it. And he talks about how you're around all these people and people look rich, in all these places, and they have these big body Mercedes and they do this and they buy presents for their family during Christmas, and they spend a lot of money to look a certain way. And man, I was like, oh man, that's me. I don't have that money like he was talking, but I was like, I'm doing all this for other people. He's like, you're doing this for other people. You're not doing this for you. And it kind of just hit me. That was a really, really big aha right there. So
him calling you stupid for 45 minutes on your commute is what made you go, I probably need to do something different.
I'm a tough lug.
Different things for different people, right? Different strokes for different folks. But it worked for him to be open to
so happy,
the conversation.
Yeah.
So we would just listen to a chapter and then come back and discuss
talk about it. Yes.
Right. And we went chapter by chapter until we finished it, and then we created a plan.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You create a plan, and then you've been creating plans and sticking to plans ever since then. So fast forward us from two people working in corporate America, decided to get on the same page with your finances, went through Dave Ramsey stuff, got a plan, started working. What does work and finance look for you now?
So we decided that we were going to do a modified version of the Dave Ramsey
Mhm.
plan because
Yeah.
when we met and married, we were already in our 30s.
Yes.
So we never stopped investing in our retirement accounts.
Yeah.
And we continued to use credit cards. Everybody knows the Dave Ramsey plan is big on envelope systems,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
we understood the importance of paying off those credit cards at 30 days.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we made sure that we were using credit responsibly. We created a spreadsheet with our goals in it as far as paying off student loan debt, card notes, et cetera, to that extent.
Mhm.
And then we created a monthly budget where we looked at what we thought we would spend, a column for, projected, and then a column for actual.
Yep.
And we did that by tracking our expenses through the spending reports that are available either through your bank or through your credit card company. This worked great for us, and we got together, every month to review it. And then when I had quarterly bonuses, we would sit down and discuss how we wanted to apply these additional funds towards those goals. And after 9 years, we reached the point where we had paid off all of our debt as well as fully funded, or at least maxed out our 401ks,
yeah.
both of our 401ks. And we opened an additional brokerage account as well, where we began to, invest for the stock market. So, after all this time, so we married in 2009, it was 2018. In 2018, both of our kids were graduating.
Yes.
Our youngest son in California was graduating from high school.
Yep.
Our oldest son here in Texas was scheduled to graduate from college. And by
we were
time,
free.
yes. So by this time,
Raised right there, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
We flew down to Cali. Yep.
Yep.
To see him graduate, because he was constantly flying back and forth to Texas.
yeah,
And then we were like, wow. And we didn't really know exactly what he was doing. We was hoping he was going to go to school or whatever, but he was kind of going to be just working or going to school or whatever. And then we just kind of was like, wow, what do we do now? Once we got no responsibility for kids, like, no direct responsibility for kids
Sure.
like this.
yeah. So we were essentially becoming empty nesters in our 40s.
In the house.
And I reached tremendous burnout at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, from a sales perspective, 20 years
20
in a
years.
professional sales
Yep.
career is a long time.
Yep.
And I said, so Rob is a big fan of Bigger Pockets,
Yes.
right? We both are now, but he initially started listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast about real estate investing.
A long time ago.
And through listening through that podcast, he already had some ideas about how he wanted to invest in real estate.
Yes.
So I'm rewinding a bit because over these 9 years, we had already begun investing in real estate. So in 2012 or something like that, I had started listening. He had said to me, "Hey, I need you to listen." And
A couple of years, Eric. I was
Yeah.
telling her a couple of years. She was just kind of, hey, I'm
Yeah.
working. She was really always
Head
buried in the lap.
down.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
When they
it was
pay
exhausting.
you a 6-figure salary and bonuses,
Yeah.
you definitely
You
need
have
to pay
zero
attention.
time. Zero.
Right.
Yeah. So he
I
was.
didn't like it.
Yeah, so he was like, we can't keep working like this. I was having some health issues.
Yeah.
We need to invest
From
for the
working.
long haul. Yeah, a lot of stress on the job. And I started listening to Bigger Pockets, and I thought, oh my God, we could do this. Everything they're talking about, we could do this.
Everything Rob's been saying for 2
Yeah.
years, we got.
It was three
Yeah,
years.
it had been 3 by this time. So
3
he was
years.
definitely the visionary.
But I was listening every day still.
Yeah.
Just so when she was ready, I was gonna be boom.
Yeah, he was definitely the
Yeah,
visionary.
yeah.
So, I'm grateful that I was, finally in a position where I could hear him. And so by 2013, I'd agreed, okay, let's do this. Let's look for an investment property.
Yeah.
And when we went out to look, the market had started to change, right?
Yeah.
We got married during the recession. And so it was a great time to save
2009,
money
yeah.
and invest. But we thought, we're going to go out here and, spend $150,000 for an investment property. And people had already begun to flip them.
Yeah.
And
There were none available in our area.
Yeah.
We lived in Carrollton, so
yeah,
they were gone.
yeah, the prices had gone up so significantly that I was like, at this point, with these interest rates being as low as they are, why don't we look for our next home
Yes.
and turn our first home into our first rental?
I didn't want to do it at first because I did not want to spend. Our house was a small house, right? I wanted to stay in that small house and get more small houses. But then she started looking at this house that we're in now. And it was like twice the price. I was like, hey, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, we're getting away from the debts, snowball thing and all that we're supposed to be doing today. But it worked out.
Yeah, by this time, because we were debt free. And I just thought, you know what? when you work out the payments at these interest rates, even on this larger mortgage, we could do this without it being a problem. And we did get a 15-year mortgage and refinance the remaining amount that we had on that first home down to a 15-year as well.
So the cash flow right away was boom.
Yeah. So for those who are interested in investing in real estate, I think the first home is a great place to start. It worked for us, and it
stay in there a few years and then refinance and bring the payment down, and then, you know, collect the high rent, you know.
Yeah. So during this time, also Rob had acquired his Texas real estate license and had begun to buy and sell real estate as an agent part-time while he was still working in IT.
Yes.
So once we decided to leave corporate in 2018, you know, he was going to pivot to becoming a full-time realtor, which is what he does today. Yeah. But cool. I knew that.
What are you doing today?
Right. So we had, so what I'm doing today, I am a stock investor. So I manage our investment portfolios on the real estate side, but I also actively invest in the stock market.
Yes. Is that day trading, or?
I am more of a swing trader. So, but I took, so what I did was when the pandemic hit in 2020, I took a course to learn how to trade actively, because we were already investing for the long term in the stock market. And so we took the Invest with Terry Trade and Travel course. By, you know, becoming part of the personal finance community and starting a YouTube channel and everything, we found out about a conference called FinCon. This is right. This is a financial conference for content creators who focus on money. So we attended that conference. When we went, at the time we went, we only had a website that was going to be a blog. We got so hyped up, you know, we were like, we got to do a YouTube channel.
And some of my favorite YouTubers were there.
And podcasters,
and
right?
podcasters.
Everybody
we were like,
there.
oh my God, this place, it was gold, man. And we were like, and so we started going like every year, right?
Yeah. So we start this and we say, okay, when we leave corporate, we're going to become travel YouTubers.
Yes. We decided to, we didn't really say how we got to that, but we decided to take a year off, right?
Yeah.
So
by the time we realized that we were empty nesters and financially stable, we thought, let's just take a year off to travel the world.
Yeah.
Does that sound weird?
That's everybody's dream, right? Until you actually start traveling and you're like, man, this is tiring. And man, we don't get along when we travel, right? That's when you expose all that. So you went from corporate to paying off a bunch of debt. You now dictate your schedules mostly, right? But so what do you do for couples? How do you help couples now do what you do, or do something similar maybe that fits them? What does your process look like now?
So now what we do is we've shared our journey via YouTube. Like I said, we started out with travel, and then we moved over to personal finance, as far as being able to share exactly how we did it on our channel. Then as a realtor, Rob really helps a lot of investors. So because we have been investors, that's who he works with a lot.
Like you mentioned Bigger Pockets earlier. I'm still a big fan of Bigger Pockets. I've been on there probably, I don't know, it's been 15 years or something now. I don't know, it's somewhere between 10 and 15 years. But yeah, so you got a little profile up there. And of course, during the pandemic, a lot of people started saying, I guess they're reevaluating their lives, right? Everybody wants to, hey, how can I make my own money? How can I invest? How can I do whatever, right? And so now I'm meeting a ton of young people, especially like I was just with one right now, and I was showing him all, you know, he's 27, and him and his family, and he's got money. He's doing well. It's weird. He was saying he was like a corporate trader or something. But anyway, he's saying I'm making really, really good money right now. And I am trying to take this money and I'm trying to get some rental properties and eventually, you know, just let that be my primary income. He said, I read your story, and we've done a lot of interviews, right? So he's like, I saw you in an interview. I saw you in Bigger Pockets. Like he's all stalked me or whatever, right? It's pretty cool. But
like you did with your wife.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, exactly.
He opened the window.
I knew it was coming as soon as I said it. But he that was his words, not mine. But anyway, so now on my side, we do the YouTube videos, and then I love walking these young people through the process. And I go in there and I let them know I just give it to them straight, you know, like I saw this house he was in love with this morning. You know, there's cracks in the wall. There's certain things he didn't see. I was like, don't do it. Don't. It's got foundation problems. It's got this. The windows are not sealed, whatever. And he's loved him. His dad was with him. They loved it, right? Because they're like, wow, this guy's really. I'm not just trying to sell him something. I want him to be able to do what I've done. I want them to be able to walk away from this whole situation if they want to, and especially while during his core working years. I think he's a genius for doing it this young, and I didn't do that.
So our goal is to share the journey and hope that it inspires other people to see what's possible, because we didn't come from a lot of money, and I think we did grow up believing that you needed to come from money to be in a place where you could at some point be financially comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, having a leg up is helpful, right? It would have been if you had started on a suburban street instead of the projects, the journey would have been a little easier for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you, when you're trying to, part of it is sharing your story, and then obviously, Rob, do you have courses? Do you do coaching for people? If there's people who say, hey, we want some tips on getting out of moving towards, we want the life you have. How do we get there?
So I do offer one-on-one personal finance coaching to people who are committed to taking action. It is a process for most couples. So one of the things we recommend is we have a recommended reading list. So we share quite a few books that we think will be helpful. But I do work with couples who are ready to make the investment in their financial future together. And that's a one-on-one coaching that I offer.
Gotcha. And then Rob, is yours coaching, or is it just kind of as people reach out, you connect with them and try to help them get there?
Yeah, I mean, usually I just kind of, if people are just in the real estate game, I usually just kind of take communication, text or whatever, and especially if they're in DFW and they want to work with me, then I walk them through the whole process. I don't. There's no. As if you're buying a house, then you're gonna learn everything I know.
Yeah, so, just so people understand, most realtors don't actually invest in real estate.
They say like 98% of realtors don't invest.
So the best source you can have as an investor is an educated realtor who actually knows what it means to be an investor.
And it's weird. It's weird even in the office sometimes, because most of them don't. They a lot of realtors surround me when I come in because they want to talk about this and talk about getting it. And I'm like, wow, you've been selling like 15 years. I don't get it, and they just. They're most of them are spenders, not investors. So
gotcha. Yeah, it seems like it'd be a no-brainer. Like, you've already got some inside information on stuff that comes up. You've got at least a little bit of knowledge of financing. I mean, it seems like
they're expert researchers on what people want. A lot of them, man. But realtors that have some of the fanciest cars and houses you've ever seen that they live in and drive. I promise you. So.
But
plus, you know what sells and doesn't sell. So it seems like, if you show the average Joe two houses side by side, be like, yeah, they both look good to me, but you may be like, nah, where the master is, or where the all the little things that are going to make this, more
or the location of the house, right? I mean, you might think that, oh, this is a great location, but because of this school, or because of this shopping center, or because this whatever, this one is like gold and that's silver, right? So
or in Texas, because our energy grid is struggling, you want to be by a hospital. Fire station, so keep your power on.
Yes.
Trust me, I'm all over that.
So can I ask you some kind of rapid fire questions that may help couples who are struggling just financially, period?
Sure.
Go for
it. You're like, I don't know if I want to answer them. So what about the speak to the couple who can't even talk about finances right now, right? That's a point of contention. When they try to talk about finances, it always turns into a fight. They're not on the same page. Like, what are just practical things? How would you tell a couple like that? Maybe here's some ways to start having conversations around finances.
What we always say is dream together, right, babe?
Dream together. Okay.
Yes. Like, where does what does your life look like in 5 years?
Right. Don't make it about the money so much as how you want to live.
Yes.
Right? Because we live in America and everything eventually comes around to money. So
Right.
if you figure out what your dreams are, what your goals are, and you write those down,
Right.
then you can begin to work backwards,
Yes.
because you do want to understand whether or not you even have the same goals or vision
Right.
for your future.
Yes.
So
that's
it starts with getting on the same page vision wise. This
Yes.
we have to be in agreement of here's where we want to end up.
That's right.
And if couples aren't in agreement on there, is that just sorry, you're screwed? Or is that like get with a counselor or something and really figure out what you value and how you get there?
As I said, there are usually at least 1 or 2 points,
Yeah.
right? And if
Yeah.
you can just find 1 or 2, you can work from there.
Right.
So for example, even if you are a young person, you know that you want to retire someday.
Right.
So what does
Unless you
that
love your
look
job,
like, right? You know, will we retire at the same age, or what age do we want to retire at? That can get the conversation going. In Texas, big homes are really popular.
Yes.
You know, if we
House
are
with a
in
pool.
our first home, right?
Yeah. You want to get a house with a pool. You want to buy that new car. I've always dreamed of having this car. I mean, what are we working towards here? You know, go start with the smallest one maybe and work. Okay, you want this, I want that. So why don't we just start? I mean, that's what I would do. I would say, hey, okay, you want a new car, right? So,
Right.
you know.
Now, if this is the marriage of a minimalist and a maximalist,
Yeah.
most definitely seek counseling. We know a guy.
Yes.
You know, a guy that can help people struggling in finances get on the same page.
We know a guy who can help people struggling with the vision for their marriage who can get
Okay.
because this is no longer financial if you are that far apart
Yes.
Sure.
on what you see your life as being or becoming.
Mhm.
So if once they set a vision and they have at least some agreement, like here's a few goals we're in agreement on,
Mhm.
is there like, does that require next to budget, then like a weekly budget meeting or monthly budget meeting, or how do they make sure they're staying on top of that? Because I can imagine the scenario where they set some goals, they're in agreement on the goals,
Mhm.
and then they both have a little bit different idea, because we still have different values, right?
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
the wife sees value in a $200 purse and the husband thinks that's dumb, but he sees value in, a new set of golf clubs that she thinks is stupid. So
Right.
you could still have some differences. I can see a scenario where we set our goals, we're good, but
Mhm.
then we keep fighting about money because we're not talking about it well.
Yeah,
Right.
so you still have to actually document the
Yes.
goals and have a plan. That was a big part of our spreadsheet.
Yes. Yes.
And for the things that we didn't agree on, where we didn't share the same value, we had an allowance. That was another
Yes.
modification that we made
Right.
to the Dave Ramsey
Yeah.
Total Money Makeover,
Yeah.
was that we would each get the same amount for the full year. So that breaks down to whatever, per pay period.
Yes.
We would get the same amount for the full year. It would hit our individual checking accounts,
On the day.
and you could spend that money on whatever you want.
Right. On you.
Now that, yeah.
When I was gonna say, when you get paid, that's when you get yours.
Mhm.
And then when she gets, he or she, whatever, then on your payday, then you get yours.
Right.
But it always equaled out the same amount at the end of the year. Like hers somehow would get off track and she had
Yeah,
less.
because I might have only 24 pay periods
Right.
and he had 26.
But at the end of the year, then we make sure it was evened out or whatever. So along the year, then I spent my little allowance, and I coveted that, man. I was like, oh, I gotta be careful here, or I'm saving up for this drone, right? Or
Yes.
whatever, and I don't have the money, so.
Because a drone is not a household item.
Right.
No, not
It doesn't
yet.
matter.
But it's a business expense, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now it is. Now
It
it's
wasn't then.
But
We
I'm
didn't.
saying,
We were not YouTubers.
right. But all I'm saying is, like, whatever you want to spend on, it doesn't matter. If you want to spend it
Right.
on, she loves brunches. You want to go to brunch and spend all your money? Okay.
Right.
I want to spend my money on, I don't know, drones and electronics and,
Right.
PlayStation.
So the two of you
Yeah.
decide what are household expenses and
Yes.
things that are valued for the benefit of the household.
Right.
Like, for example, there are some husbands who really want their wives to present themselves in a certain way, appearance wise.
Ah.
So he might really not have a problem with her paying to go to a high-end hair salon and get her hair done.
Right.
So then
Yeah,
that becomes
that's
a
what we-
household expense.
Yeah.
Whereas then there are, some wives who really don't want to pay for golf clubs. That's not a benefit to
Right.
the household, and
We
I
had
don't
we
see
had
it.
needs and wants,
Right.
right?
But the gym membership, that's essential
Right.
because, you know, we need to take care of our health long term and keep these bodies up because we're only going to get this one.
Right.
So we kind of talk through what were things that benefited us as a whole versus things we needed just for ourselves.
Yeah. So then you hope that the husband's like, I don't mind my wife looking broke down. We ain't spending money. Right. I like it that way. Then no other dudes are looking at her. We're good. We're good.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Well, or your wife could get to the point where the wife could get to the point where she just does her own hair, and then that's not a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So a couple that's struggling needs to first identify some common goals they're trying to move towards, then create a budget. And you guys have a budget worksheet on your website, right? I think people can download
Yes.
free.
Yep.
So I'll put on my YouTube channel, I'll put links below, and I'm sure you guys have that as well.
Yep.
And so getting a budget and then just regular talks about the budget, right? To make sure we're
At least
staying
a
on
monthly.
track.
Yeah, at least a monthly sit down because things aren't going to be perfect when you start. And during the course, you know, of living, things come up, things you didn't expect, car repairs, you know, home repairs. Yeah.
All kind of stuff.
So I think that's good. All right, here's another question.
Ah.
What would you say to the couple who maybe they've both gotten good jobs recently or raises, but now they actually have some margin? So instead of just like, we're making it, we're good, they got margin. Where would you tell them if they want to start kind of doing what you guys do, which is paying stuff off and leaving a legacy and investing? Where would you start first? Now, I know, Rashawn, you do some stock trading. I think the last 5 months have not been real great for people's portfolios, right?
But so learning to trade is not where I would start if you had a little margin. No. But just to clarify, when you learn to trade in the stock market, you also learn to trade when the market is down.
Yes.
Sure.
So you understand that there are strategies for both a bear market and a bull market. But that's definitely not where we would recommend you start. What would you say is the first thing, babe?
I was gonna say, and you're saying the market is down. Yes, it is down, but what we see, we don't see the market is down because we know we're not retiring right now. I got about 18 more years. We see it.
If you're 65 right now, you might see it different, huh?
Well, yeah, that's true.
I lost 24% over the last 6 months.
Right.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah. Well, you probably should have switched over to bonds by now.
Right.
But anyway, I digress. So so what we would say though is the stock market right now is on sale, right? So the first thing we would say is heavily invest in their 401ks or their IRAs, right?
It's never too early or too late to invest for your retirement. Take advantage of those.
That was our first move. Like when we got margin and we knew we had a little extra money, we started saying, okay, are we maximizing on our accounts, right? These accounts have all kinds of benefits, right? So are we, and I know I wasn't maximizing on my 401k in the beginning, so we had to work up to that because I don't
first you start by getting the company match.
Yes.
Then eventually, if you already have money that's working for you in an IRA outside of that, then you go to
HSA.
Increasing to we had a health savings account, but also went to maybe going up to 10%.
Yes.
Then 15%. And if that doesn't help you reach the max for what you can get for that year, then you eventually go to the max. So you just continue to increase your investment.
Right. There's always more to invest. And even if you max out in that 401k, then you can start going to that IRA because this is only going to speed up the process of you becoming financially free. So.
Gotcha. So those are all future, right? So you're saying max out, get as much matching as you can if you're employed somewhere else. What would be the next step either if people have maxed that out, or let's say they're self-employed, they don't have a company matching 401k. Would it be real estate? Would it be something else?
So there is what's called a self-employed person's IRA, a SEP IRA, and there's also what's called a 401k now for self-employed individuals. Right. So that I would definitely.
You would say still, even if you're self-employed, start one of those, start putting money into it.
Definitely, because the more you understand money, the more you understand how beneficial those vehicles are just beyond retirement. So you can actually purchase real estate in an IRA.
Right.
Now that's an advanced strategy, and I recommend you working with a financial advisor before you do that. But invest for the benefit of the long term, and then you can go back and make adjustments to how you use that money. So there are people who own real estate in their retirement accounts. So number one, but if you're not ready to do something like real estate, in your retirement accounts, you can buy index funds.
REITs, yep.
Yeah, you can buy funds that follow the index like the S&P, right? So the S&P 500 has an S&P index, and so do all the other indices on the stock market.
Yeah.
That gives you a broad amount of diversity, and at the same time gives you an opportunity to grow your money in the stock market.
Gotcha. Cool. That's a good start. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the question. Are there any, let's say somebody just wants to, let's say I don't have a whole lot of margin with work. I need to create some extra income.
Okay.
Like we both work corporate jobs and doing the best we can, but outside of that, like, what's the best way for an individual or couple to get, I don't know, extra $500 or extra $1,000 a month to begin fixing debt or doing that kind of stuff? Is it, go get a job stocking the shelves at Kroger at night, or are there any side hustles, so to speak, that you guys would say, here's a place to put some time and energy that will start reaping a reward?
So the first thing I do is, like, I am a big, we call ourselves purgers, right?
Yeah.
And I love to sell everything that I'm not using on Facebook or on eBay. I'm a huge eBay person. Like,
yeah, that was one of the things I liked about him when we were dating.
I had
and
an
he
eBay
told me
store
he had
when
an
I met-
eBay store. I was like, oh my God, he is a hustler. I was like,
gotta. Anyway, so well, yeah. So for example, like camera equipment, right? Or games, or or books. Like if I'm done with a book and I know I'm probably not gonna reread it. For example, I took I had a book set to learn photography, right? And you just would, as much junk as we have in America, I believe there's always something to sell. And every time I want something new, I think about, hey, instead of me spending money and having to go have this conversation with my wife, let me see, what can I sell around here? That way, if I've exhausted all that, then, and sometimes you change things. Like, for example, if you're doing YouTube or you're doing some type of hobby, and then you don't need that equipment anymore. Like me, Eric, I will sell everything. I will sell everything. So that's
I sold dresses. So
she
as women, we buy special occasion dresses, right?
Yep.
You guys can get away with black suit and wear that same black suit over and over again. But
Can't
now
wear that same dress to the three occasions in a row, right?
No, not at all. And as women, and now we've got social media, and we're always taking pictures and sharing pictures when we go out, right? So you can actually, buy a dress and then resell it on Facebook Marketplace. And I've gotten, almost what I've spent. We sold my mom's wedding dress on Facebook Marketplace as well. Yeah. So you just you meet in a public place.
But that's just one thing, right?
That's a great start. My wife, actually, our youngest, who's now 18, does a lot of modeling. And so we've got, like, when the other girls moved out, she took over their closets upstairs. And so my wife finally did that same thing. She's like, dude, we got all these outfits from photo shoots that you're never going to wear again. Same thing, right? You can't keep posting this. So she put a bunch of them on Poshmark and other places.
Yes.
So I'm a believer of the resale, and probably not to the level of Rob. I like that. Now I'm starting to think about what's in my garage, because I just take my old books to, like, half price books, but maybe I'd be selling them.
People will buy anything, man. I'm telling you.
So that's the fastest thing to do, and it doesn't cost you anything. Right?
Yeah, that's great.
But one of the other resources we learned about recently could be a side hustle, could be a full-time gig, care.com.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And we've seen the ads before, but we never knew anybody who did it. Well, we recently had a family member who joined care.com to become a nanny.
Yep.
During COVID, a lot of people needed specialized care at home.
Yep.
So you can sign up on care.com to become either a nanny, provide elder care, or take care of people's pets. Yeah. And you are an individual contractor. Your money, as the person providing the service, you pay nothing. The people who are looking for the service, they pay to access the accounts. And then you work with your client on how you want to be paid. So your money comes to you directly. So, you know, if you have, you know, but care.com does provide, you know, some sample contracts and things like that to get you started. They also have a website you can link to in order to get a background check run, because of course, if you're going to be providing services in people's homes, you want to make sure that you have a clean background check.
No, that's good. And if you're handy, I didn't even know, you know, I'm old, so I don't know what's going on. But our oldest daughter needed something done to her house. And so she's like, oh, I just use the TaskRabbit app. And I didn't even know that was a thing. So anybody who can do plumbing to anything can same kind of thing, get on there and do a little job. So no, that's a great way too. Those are two good ways. Do you have any others? Or I like those two.
We got some more hardcore ones.
Yeah.
The hardcore ones like rent a room out, right?
Oh, okay.
That's
Airbnb,
a fast way to make money.
Yep.
You can Airbnb buy the room. You don't have to have a whole house.
Yep. You can rent a room out, or they got like a place called online called Roomies. I got a client, right? And this guy, he's hardcore. He moved here from Arizona and he bought a house because we kind of hang out in the same, you know, online group with the bigger pockets of people and all that. And a lot of people won't do it, but some people will. He bought a 5-bedroom house and rented out. I mean, he can rent out as many as he wants, but he rented out 4 rooms. And now he's getting paid. His whole mortgage pretty much is getting paid by those 4 roommates. And he said what he's going to do is he's going to move out. He's going to go into a second house and he's going to leave those guys there and he's going to do it again. So we're looking for a second house right now.
And house hacker, it's called house hacking, and it is done by married couples too.
Yep.
So we know we're talking about what married couples can do to raise money.
Yep.
But married
Just
couples
rent out
do
one room.
still, take on renters.
Yeah, take on renters. That's a more hardcore way, right? You
That's-
want another one?
Give me one more. Give me one
All
more.
right, Turo. We even looked into this ourselves, right? Turo, that car service, the rental cars are insane right now. Like my mother-in-law just flew out to Chicago and she was struggling to find a rental car, and then they were charging, you know, a boatload.
It was like $500, I think, after taxes and everything for a weekend.
Yeah, for 4 days, 3 or 4 days, right? But yeah, Turo, like people are, and like I follow this young lady on YouTube, and she's got a whole Turo business. She's like under 30, and she owns like 10 cars, and she's renting the cars out. Of course, you know, you got to take the good with the bad, right? You don't know how well people are going to take care of your stuff and all that. But I mean, but if people are just really hardcore on not, you know, working for anybody and want to work for themselves and they got some money to get started,
does become a full-time business for a lot of people.
It does. Get your own cars or car or 2 cars or whatever to start out with. You know, make sure they're in good condition. I think they rate the car based on the age and the mileage and all that stuff first for you even bring it on Turo. And then, you know, you can start your own business doing that. You just got to run them to the airport or wherever you you know, the drop off point. And that's a
perfect. I love them. I love them. Everything from selling the stuff you already got to renting out a room to, at the end of the day, it depends how serious or how sacrificial you might want to get with all of this stuff. So I like it. We'll do this. Tell me where should people go if they want to follow you, get a hold of some of your stuff, learn what you know?
So we are Learn, Hustle, Grow on all versions of social media.
Yes, mainly YouTube.
Mainly YouTube, and then you got a website too. I know I've been on there, and you've got some resources on there, the free budget worksheet, some of that kind of stuff. Anything else that you would want to tell people?
So also how to find Rob as a realtor. He has a full real estate website where you can actually get free access to the MLS, as well as check the value of your current home.
If you're in the
I thought that's the website you were referring to when you were saying that you were on it. I was like, oh, are you checking on your house?
Oh, no, I was on the Learn, Hustle, Grow website.
So it's robtxrealtor.com. robtxrealtor.com will give you everything you need to know about the North Texas real estate market.
Yep, and if you want to learn the business of real estate investing and you're here in Dallas, I got you. We can work together.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you for sharing. Loved hearing your story and your journey and what you're now doing to help other couples get in a better place financially. You know, working with a lot of couples, I know finances can cause a lot of problems. And so having some relief and some margin in that area is huge just for a relationship. So appreciate you guys' time.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.